Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the interview show on Most Casual Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. Golfin, and today with me is Nicholas Konstantino, an animator for Waldermar Interactive game studio. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Alright, so let's just cut to the chase, and I'll ask you some questions, and it'll all be over soon. Alright, so you're an animator for Waldermar Interactive, so what projects are you currently working on with that company?
Alright, right now we're working on an iOS title called Chaos Orb, and it's like a fantasy plane simulator, but it's really more of like an action game using tilt controls, like an iOS plane simulator would. I don't think we really are simulating a real plane in any way. You're playing as an orc piloting an airplane, so that should be your first clue. You're battling against humans and necromancers and skeleton. They're like riding around in rockets, and it's pretty crazy.
Interesting. So, did you come up with your own universe with some of your own lore for this game, or did you?
Well, I didn't personally come up with it, but
Well,
the game designers and writers did. Yeah, it's all their own lore. Obviously, orcs and necromancers aren't our idea, but what we did with them is definitely, I think, pretty unique.
Okay, so will there be a storyline there, or will it just be a selection of missions set in the world that you created as a company?
There is a storyline. I can't really get into it right now, but it's planned to be about 20 or 24 levels right now, at least at launch. And there's an associated story, and you follow your orc player character around the world as he travels to blow things up.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun. So, as an animator, what exactly do you do in the process of developing a game?
Well, as far as the art pipeline goes, I'm pretty much at the end. Because you start with your concept sketches, concept art, and then that moves into 3D modeling, and then after the 3D model is done, it can go off in two directions. One to the texture creator. I actually did a little bit of texture work for them as well. And then the other direction is towards me, the rigger and modeler, who sticks the skeleton inside the hollow 3D model and then makes it move and saves the movements and hands it back to the team to be implemented into the game.
Okay, so even though you're pretty much at the end of the pipeline, you still play a fairly crucial role, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, without me, everything is blocky and stiff and doesn't seem lifelike. And that's generally regarded as not a good thing.
Yeah, especially in our times of hyper-realism.
Yeah, right?
So, apart from Chaos Orb, are there any other projects you're working on?
Well, with this group at Waldemar new, I, however, am in my senior year at Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I'm working on Demon Dissension, which is a fighting game. Well, no, it's definitely a 2D fighting game in the veins of like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. We're still working out a lot of little bugs and balance issues, of course, because it's a fighting game. Tons of both of those to be found in every direction. But we're planning to be showing at our school's booth at PAX East, the Penny Arcade Expo in Boston, and we will definitely have a couple controllers people can sit down, or if the school doesn't provide chairs, they can stand up and play. And if anyone is going to be attending PAX East, I will be all over that booth. So chances are you'll see me there if you see my game there.
Okay, okay. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about the game? Maybe about the characters?
Yeah, sure. The characters, the first two characters I came up with, were based on a couple friends of mine. Let's see. The first one was Elsie, and she's just like this badass assassin chick, but she's more like a beat 'em up assassin than a stealthy one.
Okay.
She uses a really large locket as a blunt weapon, and she kind of smacks people's heads in with that from a range. So I guess it's kind of like Go what's her name from the first Kill Bill, but
Oh, yeah. I will not
yeah,
be able to tell you her name.
with the bladed yo-yo thing.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, that was part of the inspiration for the character.
Okay, okay. So, your fighting game is it based on weapons?
I mean, the weapons don't really change. I think the philosophy we were going for was the same one that Guilty Gear uses, or that Guilty Gear supposedly uses. But it's pretty. The philosophy is you make everyone fairly even in terms of defense, and then you can make them all fairly even in terms of really extravagant and crazy offense. So we're shooting to have some really big and flashy moves and really cool combos. And one of the things that we actually added to the game that we came up with that makes this game a little more unique, and it's similar to the Street Fighter Cross Tekken gem system, but not as badly executed, I hope. No effects to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but the gems get a little out of hand. But we added a level up system where before you start the match, you can assign stat points to your stats, and that can change over the course of the match. As you're punching and kicking, you gain EXP like a second super meter, and when you fill that up, you can level up, and you'll gain a little bit of health. You'll gain a little bit of health back, and you get a boost in the stats that you assigned to, and you can level up a few times in a match, and depending on the character, you get more cool abilities. So like the second character we made, Vel, he can throw out little magnetic blades, and they just kind of float in the air. But he gets an additional blade he can throw out every time he levels up. So at level 1 he can throw 1, at level 2 he can throw 2, and at level 5 he has a pretty strong zoning game.
Okay, okay. What about any other characters?
Yeah, the one I just finished is a giant armored penguin who wields a katana and a fish.
That is quite impressive. We should probably submit that to a website called tunagaming.com, a website all about fish used as weaponry in video games.
Oh, well, I'll have to look at that then, because the fish weapon is something I like. It's his little projectile, and he just bobs it out there, and then it hits the ground and flops a bit, and then disintegrates.
Okay, interesting. And he also wields a katana.
Yeah, and he wields a katana. He's a like a human-sized penguin, so I feel like he's pretty fearsome on his own. But give him the sword for good measure, and have him slide on his belly, stick the sword out front, and just go across the bottom of the stage. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, And then the fourth character that I'm putting work on probably later this week is Corin. Oh yeah, the penguin's name is just Penguin because if I try to name him anything else, it might be corny, just too corny. So we just named him Penguin.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, it also started because it was a joke character. We have penguins in the background of like an Arctic level we made, and we just wanted a fourth placeholder character while we were still, designing characters. And we had a voice actor, doing recording, so we're just like, say penguin with a question mark into the microphone, and so we can use that when we're showing our proof of concept for the character select screen. It's like, oh, okay, and then we just ran with it. It just stuck. So that's the pleasures of not having to answer to a publisher or investors or anything. You're just doing it for your grade, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Indeed. That character sounds amazing. Well, the game itself sounds quite interesting. So yeah, I wish you good luck on all of your projects.
Thanks.
Now, we're pretty much done with the more formal part of the interview, so let's move on to some more casual questions. So, what would be your favorite genre of video games?
Well, my favorite genre of games is definitely fighting games, because as an animator, fighting games, at least, I mean, every game breaks down into frames, but most games it doesn't matter unless you're speed running them or something. But for fighting games, knowing your frame data, and how far someone reaches, and being able to just pick those little things apart at a technical level, just it really resonates with me, and I feel like that might have been what got me originally interested in animation as a career path.
Okay, interesting. So, what would be your favorite game in that genre then?
My favorite game in that genre is not a traditional fighter. It is Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Okay.
Yeah, right now Melee is making, I guess technically a bid to be in the Evolution Fighting Game Championships this summer in Las Vegas, and we're winning right now. There was a Facebook poll a couple months ago by the championship saying, hey, what games would you guys like to see? And then based on that poll, they picked 7 games that were going to be in it for sure, and then they picked from like the highest 10 or so of the next games that we're going to be in a round 2 competition against each other to see who can raise the most money for breast cancer awareness. And Super Smash Brothers, the Melee community, we raised nearly $15,000 so far. We've been at it for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is quite impressive, yeah.
Yeah. And we've wanted to have Melee back at Evo since it was taken out in 2008 in favor of Brawl, and Brawl didn't really go over so well at Evo, so they never really invited us back for Melee. I guess I don't really know what the story behind it all was, but Smash had it shot once, and it went or Melee had it shot once. It went over really well. Then Brawl had it shot, didn't go over so well, and then we just haven't been back since. So
Okay,
that's that, I guess.
Well, I do hope that your cause will succeed and you'll get Melee into Evo.
Yeah, I mean it's looking pretty good right now. So if not, we do have an international tournament that's scheduled to happen within the weeks before or after Evo, anyways. So we'll still have our huge event, even if it's one huge event instead of 2.
So I take it then you're a fan of esports?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of esports. I especially love what StarCraft 2 and League of Legends have done to, really explode the scene of esports. I wasn't never really huge into StarCraft. It's like a really complicated game of chess, and every time I sit down to learn like how to do it, I have to stand back up and go do something else for a little while, and then I come back and everything is different. um, and it's I have that same problem because I play a lot of LOL as well, and I sit down, I play for a while with my friends, and then I stand up and I go do work for a couple weeks, come back to play again. And there's like 3 new champions, and I don't know what they do, and everyone's playing them, and now I gotta learn the hard way. But I'm more comfortable doing it in LoL because I have a team that will just be like, "Hey, stop doing that. That's stupid." And playing with friends is nice. I like multiplayer. That's another thing I like about fighting games, and that's what makes it my favorite genre. It's almost exclusively multiplayer, and especially in Smash Brothers, you can have up to 3 other people. More the merrier.
Yes, yes, indeed. Well, multiplayer games have been on the rise in the last, well, decade, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right now, it's harder to get a decent single-player game.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I don't know. What's been on the rise though is the network multiplayer, and I mean with stuff like Skype and Vent, TeamSpeak, all that, the VoIP programs. It's kind of okay. I mean, whenever I was playing an MMO and I just had to like do text chat the entire time, I'd get really bored really really quick, and I would just kind of bail. But when I play LOL, I get stuck playing for like 5 hours without even noticing.
Yeah.
So that's good.
When it comes to
thanks Skype.
Yeah, thank you Skype, thank you Ventrilo, but because when it comes to playing MMOs without any voice communication, it's boring up until you try to raid without a microphone or without any means of communication, so you have to actually type things out in the chat while being a tank, while being attacked by 5,000 different enemies.
Yeah, I know.
Those years of me playing World of Warcraft, God, that was horrible.
I could never be a tank.
I can only be a tank. I can't play any other role. I can't even play damage. It just seems so boring to me. Anyway, enough about me. Enough about me. So, have you yourself ever taken part in any esports competitions?
I have not. Well, I competed with a team of friends in the weekly LOL tournaments hosted by MLG, I think it was.
Oh.
I don't know if they're still running, but back when they were running, if they're running, I don't know. I fell out of loop with that because they were on Sundays or something, and I had to rush to do all my work that was due Monday, and everyone else was doing other things on Sundays, especially because a lot of Smash Brothers tournaments happen on Saturdays, and you're usually there from like 10 in the morning until like really late at night because you're just hanging out with all your friends. So you don't want to wake up Sunday morning and be really good at LOL. So you just want to wake up and lazily be depressed that you're not at a Smash tournament anymore or something.
Ah.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun. We were Team Cosby sweaters.
That is a great name for a team.
Yeah. we had Bill Cosby and like the most obnoxious sweater we could find as our team avatar. It was good. It was a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like Smash tournaments is like the main thing I've ever competed in, and I don't know if those really count as esports, but they're fighting games. Well, Smash, yeah, they're fighting.
Well, fighting games do count as esports. Take Street Fighter. It is a massive franchise that is played a lot in the esports scene.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because whenever you hear about esports, it's pretty much always talking about LOL and StarCraft and maybe Halo or COD or whatever the flavor of the year shooter is. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, I think there has been a great change in that because, well, let's say 10 years ago, the biggest games, well, StarCraft was still a big thing,
yep,
but at the same time, shooters were also a really big thing. Take Counter-Strike, for example.
yep, Counter Strike,
It is
Counter
not
Strike, and Unreal.
Counter-Strike on Unreal, and 10 years ago, even Quake 3 Arena was
Yeah,
very popular. Right now, there is obviously Quake Live, but you have to admit that shooters have sort of lost their position as the main genre of esports, in my opinion. Now it's all about strategies and
right.
and MOBAs. MOBAs have become very popular in that regard.
Yeah, I think like that's what like I think MOBAs make a better spectator sport. I mean, if you don't know what's going on, you know, you have the bird's eye view camera that just looks at the entire map or huge portions of the map, and you can tell what's going to go on. You can tell when somebody's setting up for a big like pinch because the jungler is coming through the river, or you know, all of the Zerglings, just a massive Zergling army is just going to rush through all the Marines, and you know you can get excited for that because you can visually see what's going to happen. With shooters, like I understand what's going on, but if I look at it from the perspective of somebody who has no idea what's going on, I'm just seeing this guy with a really twitchy head, and he's just gonna like twitch this way and get a headshot, and then keep running. And I think if they took the camera angle from outside of the views, it would probably be more exciting. But then, you know, they're also, you know, hiding behind things, and then you'd probably be looking at a mostly blank map for for a good portion of the match. So it's hard, but it's definitely easy to see why, you know, MOBAs and strategy kind of games are definitely taking the forefront over a lot of, you know, the really fast-paced shooters.
Yes, yes.
And then, of course, everyone complains when a shooter is slow-paced and you can tell what's going on. But, you know, I mean, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
Well, we'll see if it's going to happen anytime soon. I would say actually that Counter-Strike was a fairly could be called that kind of
No, yeah,
medium.
Counter-Strike was perfect. Counter-Strike is like the perfect shooter.
Because it could be it could have very long games, but at the same time, most of the time, if teams knew what they were doing, matches would be over fairly quickly, and you would be amazed at how tactical it all is, if you of course understand it. And I think another important thing about what makes the game interesting for as an esport is probably the quality of the commentary.
Yeah, exactly. Commentary is everything. For example, I was watching the Apex finales, and which is the huge Smash Brothers tournament that just happened. And now I know this is going to sound terribly biased because I love Melee a great deal more than I love Brawl, but I mean there's definitely a science to commentary, and you know, we had, you know, about 4 or 5 different commentators that were on Melee, and you know they were being professional about it. They looked up stats and recent tournament winnings and who they beat and who beat who for like all the top contenders in the tournament for like the past year or two of their tournament careers, and they printed it all out and they put it in a binder and they had it with them, and they would constantly reference it, and you know they had the rules with them, and the only thing they were missing were the brackets, but that's because the tournament organizers weren't sharing that so well, so it really wasn't even that. But you know, they were always, you know, staying on topic. They weren't always talking, and they were providing necessary excitement, and they were always explaining how things broke down, in the game, and why players are making the decisions they made. And it was all very informative. And if I was brand new to the Smash scene, I probably would have loved it because I would have felt very in the loop. Um, on the other hand, I stayed up to like 4 in the morning watching the Brawl finale, grand finals, because it was really exciting. My buddy Mewtwo King was all the way in the grand finals, and he nearly made it to grand finals for Melee. So he was just having a really good day that day, I guess. But I was watching. I was excited for him, and the entire ride up the top 8 in Brawl, it was either one commentator who was kind of okay commentating, but then there was one commentator that he would just always be talking. He could never let the match just be silent and like play itself out and let me watch. And he was never explaining. Like neither of them were really ever explaining why things were how they were, why they picked certain stages to go to, or really explained who the players were. Because that's one thing I always have trouble with when I'm watching Brawl. I don't know who anyone is. I know who like tons of people are in Melee, and I kind of understand the characters in Brawl, but I don't know who the players are. So I mean, there's a few, but other than the big names from 2008, back when I was actively playing in Brawl, I don't really know anyone, and that's the kind of information I'd like to know as a potential fan.
Yes, of course. Every sport should have its idols, and as it is in every sport, esports should also be all about the players.
Yeah.
As well as obviously the games, but a lot of people watch football, for example, for their favorite players.
Yeah, exactly.
So why should you not let somebody find their favorite player? If that makes sense. I hope it does.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, like I mean, it's easy to get lost in, oh, this is just another Meta Knight and another Meta Knight and another Meta Knight, and they all play the same. But when you listen to the top level players, like they had Mewtwo King on the mic after one of his big matches, and he was talking about how he plays Meta Knight this way, and he does these things usually, and like this is the stuff he does and looks out for. And when he's playing this Meta Knight, like this is the stuff he does and what he watches out for, and why he thinks this Meta Knight does it better, and why this player's unique and awesome. And even though it's all the same character, it can be played so differently. And like that's just something that you miss if the commentators aren't throwing it at you.
Yes, especially if you're not an enthusiast of the sport and you're just getting into it. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess this is where we're going to stop for today.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Nicholas, for being on the show.
No problem.
Viewers, I hope you enjoyed this interview. Like this video, favorite it, subscribe, and also check out Nicholas. Do you have a YouTube channel? I think.
I have a YouTube channel.
If you viewers are interested, there will be an annotation that leads to Nicholas's channel, and will also be a link in the description. So, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time on Most Casual Gamer. If you enjoyed watching this video, why not check out something else? Follow these links for more wonderfully casual content. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about us. That never hurts, does it?